Hello. Um, Thank you so much for Carlene is here to just chat and give some tips to you, the next youth executive director. So, Carlene, can you first say a little bit to introduce yourself, give some context, and then we'll ask some questions for you to answer.
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Carline Boston. Currently, I am approaching my senior year in college, but I joined Youth Power Coalition when I was, I believe, either a freshman or a sophomore in high school. So it's been a very, very long journey, but an extremely rewarding journey. I've learned so much throughout my time. I've held a lot of different roles, one of them being the role that you're going into as a youth executive director. And I can confidently say that I would not be the type of person that I am or the type of leader that I am if it wasn't for my experience at YPC. So I know that you're going to do an amazing job, and I'm excited to relay some of my knowledge onto you.
Say more about the youth ED role. Like, what is it? What does the youth ED role do, and why is it important?
Yeah, great point. So, the youth executive director position is essentially, think of it as kind of the co head of YPC. So, you're really in charge of mobilizing our mission and our vision and making sure that that is happening throughout the organization and being relayed to everyone else. So, it's important that you truly understand what Youth Power Coalition is and what we are meant to do, and making sure that the people that you're working with also understand that mission and the work that you're doing is constantly working towards that goal. And so you'll hold a lot of different roles. You'll find your head in a lot of different spaces, but it will really be great to kind of get a good overview of the organization, of what's going on, and to just have a great idea of kind of how everything is moving along and stepping in if you need to in certain places that might be falling, or letting others take lead and delegating some tasks in that way that you see fit.
Yeah, say more about those things that you do. Like what happens weekly versus monthly or versus special projects,
Yeah.
and who do you collaborate with and how?
Yeah, so forgive me, it has been a minute since I've been in the position, so I might be leaving out some things, but I'm sure you'll get some inputs for some more recent youth executive directors as well. But during my time, from what I can remember, I was a part of a lot of different circles, the main one being the general circle. And so once a month, they'll have like a general circle meeting, which you'll facilitate. And that's basically a way to kind of catch up with everything going on within the organization. So, seeing what other teams are working on, getting some updates, and generally just doing a check in to see how everyone is feeling and if everything is, going the way it's supposed to. If any circle might need some support in any way, or if there's anything that you can do, or maybe any like initiative that you want to kind of be a part of. So, that's one thing that you'll do. Weekly, your task can kind of vary, it kind of depends on what needs to be done. If I can remember correctly, um, during the time that I was youth executive director, we did a lot of work to try to like iron out our governance structure. So making sure that the organization, the way that it was set up, made sense, and it was set up in a way for everybody to kind of communicate effectively and for information to be passed on effectively. So that was a lot of the work that I did. I was also part of the leadership development circle, so I also did some work in the leadership development realm. So as youth ED, you can also be a part of individual circles and do work there if you're passionate about what's going on. But essentially, your weekly and day-to-day tasks will be dependent on what's needed of the organization. So if during your time you realize that there is a need in maybe having to go over the vision and mission again and making sure that that's cleaned up, then that'll be some of the work that you do for your time being. And it just kind of depends from there.
And who do you collaborate with in
Yes.
doing these things?
So you pretty much collaborate with everyone, to be honest. You work really closely with the mission circle because you are part of the mission circle. And so making sure that, again, the mission of the organization is clear and is being mobilized in the way that it needs to. For your general circle meetings, that is when all the circles will be joining. And so you'll be getting some updates from literally everyone. So you'll be able to know what's going on with finance, advocacy, leadership development, or any other circle that might exist during that time. You'll also work a lot with external partners. So anyone that is interested in YPC, you'll work with new recruits or new youth or even adults that want to be a part of the organization and making sure that you're communicating what YPC is to them and welcoming them into the organization. And you'll be working with donors and alumni and making sure that you're keeping that network strong as well. So you get to meet a lot of different people, communicate with a lot of different people. It might sound a little overwhelming, but it's a lot more fun, and everybody is super supportive. And so you won't be like just doing all of this alone, is really just so that you can kind of stay in the loop for everything that's going on.
That brings us to the next question, actually, which is what are your tips for doing this? Like, how do you stay organized? How do you speak up? How do you build these relationships? How do you support people? What do you do when you're nervous? Like, all the things.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So there's a lot of different things. I think during your time in the role, you'll kind of learn your own kind of flow on how you operate as a leader. But I think that would be my first tip. Really understand your leadership style and understand how you want to lead the organization. So, for example, for me, I really like connecting with people. I like facilitating, I like talking, and I like looking at the bigger picture of the organization. So that is something that I kind of kept with me as youth ED to kind of make sure that all of that was working in the way that it was supposed to create YPC as one big organization and one big story. So it's really important for you to find out, for one, what your purpose is, what your goals are for YPC, and where you want the organization to be by the end of your tenure as youth ED, and then kind of run with that. Another tip that I would have is lean on your people. It's a big family. Again, like I said, you're not alone. So if you're feeling nervous, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're not really sure where to start, talk to people. People are there to help. There's people in the organization that are familiar with the structure, familiar with how it's been. They've probably been there for a while. So if you need any help or any guidance or anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to ask questions. You can even reach out to me, Deborah, or anyone else. The alumni network is still very strong. So you are not alone. Any questions that you may have, just ask for help. And take the opportunity to step outside of your comfort zone, learn new skills, understand our structure, understand sociocracy, and take everything that you learn and apply it to other places in your life. Because even for me, a lot of the leadership and facilitation techniques that I've learned, I still use today, and people are still surprised at how I facilitate meetings in a sociocratic way, and they want to know more. So, really be an ambassador for YPC and what it means to be a part of the organization, and you'll do great.
What about the challenges? When, like, how do you handle challenges like when people don't show up or do their part, or if there's conflict, or when you're feeling overwhelmed? Yeah.
Absolutely. You will run into challenges. I definitely ran into challenges. It's a lot, and it can be really overwhelming at certain points in time. But again, going back to asking for help, being honest and be vulnerable. If you're having a hard time, connect with your adult executive director. You're not in this role alone. You have someone else that you're working with. So if you need any help, just let them know and be like, hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I need help. What should I do? Or I'm realizing that this piece of the organization is not operating in the way that it needs to. What can we do? Don't work on things alone. Work together with someone else, and it'll make it a lot better. In terms of just little things, try to keep track of everything as much as you can. So your calendar will be your best friend. Track everything, make sure that it's completely up to date. If you had to switch a time for a meeting, if maybe things were cut short, whatever that looks like, track it, write it down, keep note of it, because you will need it, especially when tracking your time. That is something that I fell short in, so don't be like me. So I would say that is one great tip. And it'll really help with just time management. So just make sure that you're staying on top of your Google Drive, your Google Calendar, and your emails.
Last question. Just your final words. Like, and you mentioned this throughout, but like, what did you most love? What are you really proud of? And any last advice you have for the next youth executive director?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of touched on it in the very beginning, but like I said, your this role is extremely transformative, and this organization in itself, in the root of its mission, is transformative, and the work that you're doing is important. And so I would say don't lose sight of what it means to be a part of YPC and what we're trying to accomplish. Don't lose sight of the importance of youth voice and of youth power in spaces, especially as we're entering into a new generation. It's important for our youth upcoming to know how powerful their voice is. And you being in this position is like such a testament to that. And so that was something that I loved about being a part of YPC. I loved the autonomy and the leadership that I got. I mean, even being youth executive director at your age is an amazing accomplishment. It is a flex, and you should be very proud of it. And it's also great on your resume. I just had to throw that in there. So there's just so many perks to being a part of the organization. Like I said, it really transformed me into the leader that I am now. And so take everything in stride, take all your challenges with pride. I mean, it'll happen and you'll face some things that you might feel overwhelmed. You might not know how to move forward, but take everything and take lessons from it because it will help you grow in the future. And just be great, you know, make sure that you're mobilizing this organization and taking it to where it needs to be for the next years. I know it's in good hands with you.